I built this app using Lovable, and at first glance you might think that this looks great, but there are actually so many issues within this app that could cost me a ton of money. And in today's video, I'll go through all the reasons why you should never waste money and time on app builders like Lovable, V0, or Bolt, and I will share an alternative tool that you should use instead. So, the first problem that I have with these AI app builders is that they are very expensive and unfair to use. So for example, even if you just ask it a simple question about the app, it's gonna cost you tokens. Users have claimed that using chat mode won't consume tokens, but that's not the reality. The reality is that it'll still consume tokens, as you can see here. If you're using Lovable, the best way to save tokens is to send as much context as possible. Be very descriptive with your prompts. Include images or wireframes about what you want to see. That way you prevent yourself from saying things like, "Oh, I actually don't like how this button is placed or positioned. I don't like its color. Can you change it for me?" With that said, the less interaction you do with Lovable, the better. But unfortunately, that is a pipe dream. However, there is a better way. So guys, what should you do? Well, first of all, I highly recommend you connect your projects to GitHub and put your project in a repository. There are many reasons to do this, but the main one's that you can clone your repository locally and use an AI extension like Windsurf on VS Code. Or even better, just use Cursor or Windsurf. Honestly, if you can spend $20 on Lovable, I'm pretty sure you can spend $20 for Cursor. And with Cursor, you have more control over your code base, and you can work on your projects without thinking about credits. If you're not a developer, I can understand how you feel towards these tools because they are meant for developers, but trust me, it's not that difficult to use, especially with the recent update of Cursor. We'll get back to that later in this video. But the next problem I have with app builders, or at least with Lovable, is their negligence towards vulnerabilities or security. One example is the environment variables. I kid you not, when you connect your projects to GitHub, expect to have the env file in that repository. And if you're someone who doesn't know anything about Git, GitHub, envs, or vulnerabilities in general, you're gonna be extremely prone to attacks that can cost you not just your app, but also your users. Yes, I know the variables inside the env file are public and exposable, but the point is, this should never be included in the repository. If the file is needed, then just push an example env file, .env.example file, with only the variable names, without values. Or, if they care so much about their users, they can just add a comment in the env file that the file must not contain secret keys. And if you have secret keys, talk to Lovable AI about it. Also, speaking of that, it's wild that if you want to integrate payments into your apps, you have to give Lovable your Stripe keys. Like, are we really this careless now? My next problem, again, is more on the Lovable side, and that's their cloud, specifically the Supabase integration. If you're using Lovable and Supabase, unfortunately, you won't be able to manage the database in the Supabase dashboard because the database is provisioned by Lovable. That means you can only manage the database through Lovable's cloud section or page, and their UI is extremely beautiful. I'm being sarcastic. One more thing that I don't like about all of this is that when you're working on your project locally, the database doesn't get updated, especially if you're using migrations. So to make sure that your database is up to date, you would need to talk to Lovable's AI agent and say something like, "Please update the database and push the migrations," which again, costs tokens. So if you somehow consumed all of your tokens, then what? You're not going to be able to work on your projects locally because your database is not up to date. So guys, if you're dealing with this kind of problem, what I'd recommend is create a Supabase account and project. And then in your local project, replace the Supabase credentials with the ones from the new Supabase project. Then install the Supabase CLI, and when you have new migrations, just use the command supabase db push. And that should update your database. But the last thing that I don't like about Lovable is that it's doing whatever it can to lock you into their paid subscription. Let me explain. If you have a really nice app idea and you believe that this is going to be successful in the future, if you decide to cancel your Lovable subscription, the app is going to be exposed to the public and everyone on Lovable will be able to see it and clone it. This is really bad, this really sucks, because if you have a unique app and you don't want anyone to clone it, you have no choice but to keep your subscriptions. Personally, this is not a big deal for me because I can just save the app locally and delete it from Lovable. But for those who don't know anything about Git or self-hosting, they don't have much choice but to spend money just to keep their app safe from being cloned. But let me show you the worst part. Currently, I signed up to the Pro plan. It's going to expire on November 27, 2025, no big deal. So I just want to cancel this. So I can just click this manage button. Okay. I can just downgrade to free, why not? I click that, and now it wants me to switch to Lite, because why not? It's cheaper, it's 40% off, why not just switch, right? But no, I don't want that, I just want to cancel the subscription. There is a downgrade plan here. If I click that, it's asking me, why are you downgrading? We use this information to improve our product. Bro, just let me cancel the plan. We don't want this. We don't want to answer questions. But anyway, just click the downgrade plan. No big deal, right? What the fuck? So they're really trying their best to make it not user-friendly so that you don't cancel your subscription. So with all that being said, how can you stop wasting money on these app builders? Like I said before, self-host and use Cursor. It's much cheaper. You have full control over your apps. Again, this is what you're gonna need to do. Push your Lovable app to a GitHub repository, and then clone the repository locally. Next up, use Cursor 2.0 and the Agents mode. I highly recommend Cursor, it's really good. It's literally the same thing too as Lovable Chat, but here you have more control over which model you want to use. Personally, I'm enjoying Cursor's Composer model, and most of its output is really good. This is not a sponsored video, I just really like it. But of course, you can use other models like GPT-5 or Claude Sonnet 4.5. Now, if you're looking to self-host your apps, there are plenty of free hosting providers like Vercel or Netlify. With Vercel, it's so easy, especially now that your project is hosted on GitHub. You can literally just connect Vercel and GitHub and then use the repository to host the app on Vercel. Super easy, you don't need to be a developer to understand all of that. And then if your app is already using Supabase, all you need to do, like I said, is to create a Supabase project and replace the previous credentials with the new ones. I think the only hard part in this whole process is if you have authentications in your app. Then you'll have to set up the Supabase auth manually. Now, the most important step is to test your app locally and in the staging. Make sure that everything is working properly before you delete anything or delete your app from Lovable. There is a library that you might need to remove. I think it's called Lovable Tagger, and you can just ask your agent to remove it for you. You also need to remove all of the metadata related to Lovable to ensure that your app is disconnected from Lovable. Again, you can simply ask AI to remove those for you. And that is pretty much it. And as you can see, my app is now hosted on Vercel, and I can just use it like how I used it before. Now, I just want to mention that I don't necessarily hate app builders like Lovable, V0, or Bolt. I really believe that they are good at turning your ideas into a working app. But that's all there is to it. It's only meant to help you prototype. Though I really think you should never use app builders to make production apps. So if you're using app builders and you're thinking, well, it's working and it's making me tons of money, well, first of all, good for you, and jokes aside, try to at least check for vulnerabilities. If you're making your users, pay for the apps that you built with these app builders, then the least you can do is put some effort into making sure that their data is safe. With all that said, I actually still respect Lovable because it's trying its best to help users build safer apps. Recently, they released a security feature where users can scan their projects to see if there are any vulnerabilities within the app. But then again, you can literally ask Cursor to do the same, or other LLMs. You can just paste the code and see if there are any problems within the app. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed watching this video, please give this video a like and subscribe to Weekly How for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.